Herro icicles, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be cooking. Y'all know I love to cook and I haven't done it in a while for you guys, so I'm excited. I am bringing you guys a meal that has a lot of parts, but it's not hard to cook, and you guys will see that as I cook. Before we get into cooking, I have to just tell you guys about a couple things. So first things first, to prepare the saltfish to cook, I boiled it twice, which means you know how you boil pasta, you cover the pasta in water and you boil it and then you pour off the water. I did that twice to the fish, each time 20 minutes. After I did it twice, I poured off the water and I put it in a bowl, covered it in cold water, which means, you know, I filled up the bowl till the fish was covered in the water, and then I covered it with the bowl cover, and then I put it in the fridge overnight. Another thing, don't mind my broken nail. I was supposed to go get it fixed soon. I don't even think I'll get it fixed because I think I'll just get a new set because I hate fillings. But this video is not about fillings or nails, just giving y'all a heads up that a nail is missing. Don't cut my ass too much. I know it looks stupid, but y'all gotta take me as I am. I don't really see the point of just showing you guys how to make the saltfish by itself. You know, I want to teach you guys how to make a whole meal, and I know there's some of you out there, you know, y'all be asking me to teach y'all because y'all need to learn. So hopefully y'all learn from me. Hopefully I don't make it too complicated. What else do I have to say? I think that's it, so let's get to cooking. These are the things that you guys will need for this recipe. This is the bowl of saltfish that I just told you guys about. It has been sitting in the fridge overnight and it is ready to use. This is a Scotch bonnet pepper, but here you might find it in the grocery store as a Jamaican hot pepper or a Caribbean pepper. You're gonna need scallions or green onions. You're going to need a red bell pepper, but you're only gonna use about half of it. Some people would use the whole thing, but I think half is good enough. You are going to need 1 plum tomato. This one is kind of small, so you can use 2 if you want, but I used 1. An onion and about 5-6 cloves of garlic. You're also going to need a small piece of ginger. The upcoming seasonings are some of my go-to seasonings. So it's Sazon, and I choose to use the Lawrys with low sodium, black pepper, and I also use Adobo. I told you guys that our sides would be okra and Jamaican coleslaw, so of course we're going to need okra. You can get the fresh one from the store or the frozen one. I bought a coleslaw mix from the store, but you can always shred your own cabbage and carrots. My auntie sent this for us from Trinidad, so this is my Trinidadian green seasoning. This ingredient is optional. And of course, we're going to need olive oil and butter. The sugar we'll be using for the coleslaw. So the first thing we're gonna start with is the coleslaw because we want it to marinate a little bit while we are cooking the rest of stuff. So I have it in a bag here, and I'm just going to wash it first because I don't know how well the factories wash it and I don't trust it. You know, I'm one of those people who have to like wash the salad. I'm one of those people who have to wash the salads that they say triple washed and all that because I don't trust it. But this is a colander or a strainer, whatever you call it, and I'm just going to pour the mix into there. This is a mixture of red cabbage, green cabbage, and carrots. Sometimes it's good to go through the mix itself just to make sure there aren't no like brown pieces or anything that looks spoiled in there, because sometimes it does have that and you have to pick it out, so don't forget to do that. Alright, it's all washed. Now it's time to give it the flavor. So I got a different bowl. I'm transferring the coleslaw from the colander into the bowl because that is where we're gonna do all the mixing of the flavor. I want it to sit in its juices, so mixing it in the colander wouldn't be a good idea. I forgot to tell you guys that we need vinegar for this, but yes, we need vinegar. And we're going to use about a cup of vinegar. I started off using half a cup of vinegar, but once I got the taste, I ended up using a full cup of vinegar. Off camera, I added about a tablespoon of onion powder. That's what gets it to the taste that you're looking for. Cook with measurements, so I'm going to try my best to give you guys the most accurate measurements possible, but these are the measurements that I arrived at after getting the taste that I desired. After I mixed in all the ingredients, I covered it and put it away in the fridge. I finished the coleslaw. It's in the fridge right now marinating. So while that's doing that, I'm gonna cut up the stuff for the okra. The okra will be the last thing that we cook, but I want it to be prepared. And I'm also gonna cut up everything else that we're gonna throw into the saltfish. So let's do that now. I wish I could have bought more okra for this, but when I went to the store, the okra looked really bad, so I had to improvise. And you guys will see how I improvise later on. I included this part because I wanted you guys to see how I cut up all the ingredients. I also wanted to show you guys how my knife skills are not the greatest, but I just wanted to give you a realistic viewpoint of how you cut up these things. The choice is really yours about how much of the pepper you want to use. I personally do not like sweet peppers that much, so I only used half, but you can use the whole pepper if you want because the pepper does cook down. I personally would add more tomato before I add more sweet pepper. Out here because the seeds are the most deadly part of this pepper. It ain't gonna kill you, but the spice will make you feel like you're dying. So make sure that you take out the seeds before you use the pepper, guys. Now that all the vegetables are cut up and ready to go into the pot, the next step is just to mash up the saltfish and saute everything together. Saltfish is also a great meal to make if you guys are on a budget as well. This is the one that I get. 2 for $5, y'all. I do 2 when I cook for my family because there's a lot of us, but 1 pack can give you a nice meal for more than yourself. So you can feed like 3 or 4 people on 1 pack of saltfish. So again, this is what it looks like. This is the saltfish that I buy, and it is 2 for $5 at Food Bazaar, y'all. All my college students who are on budgets, who want to eat good food, you can follow this recipe and it will not break the bank, you know, it not cost too much. This part is pretty simple. You just take a fork and mash up the fish. It breaks apart very easily because of all the soaking and boiling, so just mash it up, y'all. I'm just going to be using a regular frying pan, and the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to put some olive oil in the pan. Well, I'm gonna turn it on first on medium heat, and I'm just going to put about a tablespoon of oil in, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less. I kind of just gauge it, but enough to coat the bottom of the pan. And then I'm just going to swirl it around, and I'm going to put some butter because butter is tasty. And I'm gonna put about this much butter. I'm gonna just let that get hot. I have all my ingredients right here waiting to be thrown into the pot, so I don't have to be scrambling to like cut up the tomatoes and then throw it in, and then onions and throw it in. Having everything already set up is what makes cooking much easier than a lot of people think. So the butter is melting. Hear it sizzling. One of the most satisfying sounds and smells is the smell of like butter and like herbs burning, not burning, but like cooking in a pot. It smells so good. Pears are lovely, lovely, colorful. We're gonna start with the onions. The red peppers. Tomatoes, the pepper, the garlic, and the onions. The garlic and the onions. I mean the garlic and the ginger. The scallions will be one of the last things that we add. Give you guys a close-up. When the onions begin to turn transparent, that's how you know it's okay to add in the saltfish. I'm going to add in the saltfish, a little bit of green seasoning, and the thyme right now. I'm gonna turn down the heat as well. I added more butter here, and the reason is because the butter helps add more moisture to the fish, and so it doesn't stick or burn as easily. I'm going to use a little bit of this. It's already smelling good. Okay, so now to season. Here I add in my signature seasonings or my staple seasonings, which are the seasonings that I almost always use when I cook. And these seasonings I add in to my taste. So when you are cooking this dish, you kind of have to add in taste, but always remember that it is easier to add than take out. So do not overdo it when you begin adding the seasoning for the first time.
Should have smell-o-vision.
One of the most important parts of cooking this is to allow the ingredients to sweat together so that the flavor comes out of the vegetables and mixes in together with the fish. So that's why it's covered right now, and I'm gonna turn, well, I already did. I turned the heat or whatever, the fire down to medium-low because I don't want it to like burn. I just want everything to kind of sweat and cook together in the heat. So that's what's happening right now. And while that is going for 10 minutes right now, I'm going to start getting the dumpling ready to boil. My face is burning right now, guys, because I cut the pepper and then I touched my face. Don't do that. anyways, so to make the dumplings, you just need these 4 ingredients. So flour, corn flour, brown sugar, and salt. And you need water too, sorry. You need 5 ingredients. All these things, these 4 things plus water. And the salt and sugar is for taste. So the flour itself is gonna give you the form when you knead it and make the dough. But the corn flour, most people use cornmeal. I don't have cornmeal, so I'm gonna use corn flour. But typically the corn flour is used to kind of create more of a texture and a thicker dumpling. And there's no really special measurements for it either. Salt, I just gauge that for myself. There's no really measurement for that, but I would say a tablespoon to 2 cups of flour. Or as my grandmother would say, just put some salt, okay? And so it's gonna be 2 cups of flour to 1 cup of corn flour, 2 spoons of sugar, and some salt. The amount of water that you add is going to be based on the consistency that we're trying to get. The ratios that I gave you, you don't have to only use 2 cups of flour. You can use 3 cups of flour. It depends on how many dumplings you want. I'll probably use maybe 3 cups of flour because I have a big family, as you guys know, and they're gonna want dumplings. I'm not gonna be able to knead the dumplings myself, so I'm gonna have one of my sisters do it, and I will still record it for you guys to see. So this is after 10 minutes of sitting down, and I'm going to stir it. You see, this is what we don't want, anything sticking and burning. All right, so this is going to cook a little bit longer. I'm just gonna add a little bit more oil. You want to make sure that you stir all the ingredients together before you add the water because you don't want clumps of sugar or salt in your dough. You want everything to be evenly distributed through the flour. The reason why I said the measurements of dumplings is not really strict is because when you add more water, you can add more flour to balance it out. So that's exactly what's happening as my sister is kneading the dough. The only real effect that happens when you add more flour because of too much water is you end up with more dumplings. And who doesn't love more dumplings? My sister is kind of doing this wrong, but the main idea is to just combine the dough and the water, well, the flour and the water, to make a dough ball. You want to just combine all the ingredients until you get a big sticky dough ball. I am just cutting the dough into different parts because it makes it easier for me to imagine how many dumplings I'm gonna end up with. But you can literally just take pieces of the dough, rip it off, roll it into a ball, and then flatten them, and there you go, you have a dumpling. I like to play with the shapes of the dumplings. I started making heart dumplings because my little sister loved them, so that's exactly what I'm doing here, and it was really simple. So if you want to make heart dumplings, go right ahead. While you're making the dumplings, you can have a pot on the stove ready to boil. I put salt in this water, and the rule is to make the water salty like the sea. I learned that from my high school culinary teacher. So yeah, y'all, salty like the sea. I also put about a tablespoon of butter in there just so that all the dumplings don't stick together. The saltfish is finishing up cooking. It just needs like a 5 minutes for the scallions to cook in. The dumplings are in the pot. You need about 10 minutes for the dumplings to cook, but how you know they're done is when they start to float to the top of the water. So once they're floating, you know they're done. And while these two are cooking and finishing up, I'm just gonna put the okra on the back burner. You don't have to do much with that. It's already cut up, so it just has to get some butter in the pan, and then I'm just gonna put some Sazon on it. You can put salt, pepper, however you would like to season it pretty much. and you just let it steam, and then that's for maybe 10 minutes if so much, and then done. I mentioned to you guys earlier what happened when I tried to get more okra. So I mixed the fresh okra with a bag of frozen okra, and it came out almost the same way, maybe a little softer, but nevertheless it was still good. So if you don't have enough, or the grocery store doesn't have the best looking ones, you can use the frozen. Also forgot to tell you guys that when you make the okra, you have to put at least 1/4 cup of water in there just to help it steam, and make sure you add butter as well. I just threw in whatever seasonings I wanted. You guys can not even season it at all, whatever you want to do. The food disappeared in like 2.5, y'all. So I hope that you guys try this on your own. Make sure you send me pictures and DM me, or comment down below how it worked for you, if you guys liked it. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, even if you don't plan to try the cooking thing. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do not forget to do so, and hit the little notification bell so you can get notified when I post. I'm gonna go finish my food. I will see you guys next video. Later!